but we hear parents say, my child's a good child, that they weren't involved. I can't believe it, but believe it. It happens, unfortunately.
BabyK is also accused of murder in a different case. Listen to this. Police say he allegedly shot and killed the 23-year-old sister of one of his alleged accomplices in that school bus attack.
The victim's mother says her entire family remains terrorized, afraid that this kid may try to silence witnesses or take some other actions.
We don't normally expect teenagers, let alone teenage girls, to orchestrate the unaliving of another kid. But maybe we shouldn't be as quick to judge a book by its cover. In May 2023, a 14-year-old girl and her 3 accomplices planned out a horrifying attack. It went wrong in just about every way that it could. Now, people are left in shock at the ages of the attackers and the whole story behind it. But what really happened that day? And is this incident isolated, or is it part of a disturbing phenomenon? We'll explore these questions and many more in today's video. It was May 1st, 2023, in Prince George's County, Maryland. A nice, sunny day in a town known for its safety and openness to young families. But that day, something terrible happened. 3 teens pushed their way into a school bus in Oxon Hill. They were masked, and one of them carried a weapon. They didn't even look at the driver. They were on a mission. The driver and kids inside watched in frozen terror as 3 boys walked straight to the last row and set their eyes on one boy. 2 of the masked boys pinned him down, while a third aimed at his head and fired. Once, twice, and a third time. But the weapon misfired 3 times in a row, and the terrified boy miraculously survived. Infuriated, the 3 boys then beat him until he couldn't move and fled the bus. Everyone was left in shock and disbelief. These were a bunch of small, skinny boys. They looked like preteens at best. How could they be so callous? And what on earth could the other boy have done to deserve such a death sentence? Things like this don't happen every day. So as you can imagine, the Maryland news was flooded with this incident.
This is really bizarre.
Yeah, very. A 3rd teenager appeared in front of a judge today charged in that attempted school bus murder. These 3 boys appeared wearing masks and hoodies pulled over their heads. They got into a school bus in Oxon Hill. They pushed right on by the driver, went up to a middle schooler, put the gun to his chest and pulled the trigger 3 times.
According to some sources, the boy aimed for the other boy's chest. In other sources, it stated he aimed for his head. Maybe it was both. Whichever the case, it's a harrowing thing to go through in middle school, or any time in your life really. Although the boys wore disguises, 2 of the 3 were apprehended within a day of the attack. The community seemed to relax a little as they thought officers would soon close the case and the boys would be off the street. But a few days later, an unpleasant surprise hit the news again.
The teenage girl who was in court today, however, was not in these photos, but prosecutors say that doesn't mean she isn't just as guilty.
Yep. There was a 4th person involved in this awful plan, and it was a 14-year-old girl. In fact, it turns out all 4 kids were 8th and 9th graders, and they were all part of a local gang. It was the girl, however, who came up with the plan. Not only did she suggest offing this poor boy, but she directed her 3 male friends to him that day.
And what we're learning, again, is chilling.
The girl simply texted her friends about the 14-year-old's victim's position. He was seated in the last rider left, she said. They had the green light to carry on their plan. Her disgusting message was played in court in a very rare case of juvenile hearing open to the public.
Now, normally, hearings involving juveniles are not open to the public, but in this shocking case of attempted murder by children, the young teens are charged as adults.
They only remain juveniles in the eyes of the law through their anonymity. Indeed, since they're all under the age of 18, their names are protected. Well, one of the boys' nicknames came up. For weeks, officers seemed to fail to locate the last suspect. And that was precisely the boy who'd pulled the trigger that day. The victim's family spoke to the detectives over and over again, urging them to do something about it. They were scared for their lives.
The victim's mother says her entire family remains terrorized, afraid that this kid may try to silence witnesses or take some other actions.
There were even rewards of up to $12,500 offered for any information leading to the boy's arrest. Finally, there was an update.
We have big breaking news. In just the past 30 minutes, we learned U.S. Marshals finally arrested a 15-year-old attempted murder suspect in Maryland.
Yeah, that teen goes by the name, I'm sure you're familiar with it now, BabyK.
BabyK was the boy who almost took a life that day.
Law enforcement found him, BabyK, around 2:40 this afternoon on Baltimore Avenue. That's Route 1 in the Riverdale Park area. Now, police have been searching for him for a few weeks now.
When they put him in handcuffs, it was pretty clear this was not BabyK's first run-in with the law. He despised authorities, but he was not afraid. When they took him to the station and looked at his record, they discovered something truly chilling. Remember, this was a 15-year-old boy. Still, BabyK was already wanted for taking another life.
BabyK is also accused of murder in a different case. Listen to this. Police say he allegedly shot and killed the 23-year-old sister of one of his alleged accomplices in that school bus attack.
Wait, what? He had unalived his friend's sister. Then he was carrying out another murder plan with that friend? Why did his friend even help him? Why were they trying to off this 14-year-old boy when they had this unsettled business with each other? In the courthouse, the situation was tense, to say the least. Imagine how the victim's family felt when seeing the young suspects and their own families, who fiercely supported them and claimed they were innocent children. Things got so bad that the bailiffs had to keep the parents separated.
Tense bailiffs in the courtroom watched to keep family members separated. The suspect's family begged for the girl to be released into home detention before trial.
Yeah, that was not gonna happen. As the prosecution pointed, the girl had gang ties in the city. There was another point made by the victim's mom. She said her family was in utter shock and terror at how the 14-year-old girl could orchestrate such a devious plan and carry it out with zero empathy. She planned this out and she set it up to a T. Who's to say she wouldn't have done it again? The mother told the judge she was now scared for her sons, and their families' lives. What if the girl found out where they lived? From home detention, she could very much orchestrate another evil plan. Judge Byron Bariano ordered that the girl be held without bail in a juvenile facility as she waits for trial. Perhaps it's for the best. In no report does it say that the girl showed an ounce of guilt or remorse. It's pretty shocking. People rarely expect a teenage girl to be so far removed from humanity, empathy, or kindness. Prosecutor Aisha Braveboy explained why it's dangerous to have such positive bias, though.
But we hear parents say, my child's a good child, that they weren't involved. I can't believe it, but believe it. It happens. Unfortunately, far too often in our communities, young people are making adult decisions that have adult consequences. My office has no choice but to pursue justice.
Indeed, the attackers' families were pleading with the judge for leniency, based simply on the fact that the attackers were so young. But when they chose to hold a boy down and try to take his life, were they acting young? And did their young age make them innocent? The short answer is no. There's no excuse for taking a life or attempting to. And heartbreakingly, the court confirmed their attack was no joke. If the gun had not jammed that day, the boy would have faced certain death. So the seriousness of their sentences was tied to that of their crimes. Known as BabyK, the 15-year-old boy has been charged as an adult with attempted first-degree murder, attempted second-degree murder, assault, firearm offenses, and additional charges. The other suspects are a 14-year-old boy from Suitland, a 15-year-old boy from Temple Hills, and a 14-year-old girl from Oxon Hill. They have been charged as adults, too. The girl was charged with attempted murder, as were her two pals. She was also named the mastermind of the attack. Prosecutor Brave Boy said, "We take these charges seriously. We take their actions seriously. We will pursue these cases in the interest of justice and public safety." The only background of the attack that was revealed in court was that the kids knew each other and that the incident had stemmed from a previous dispute. It was never revealed what the 14-year-old boy had done to warrant such an unspeakable punishment. It all boils down to gang rivalry, as the prosecution pointed out. It's pretty heartbreaking that so many kids who have barely made it to their teenage years are involved in such violent gangs. Aisha Braveboy made a note of this to all parents listening in court or at home. Indeed, the easiest way to get roped into a gang is through a friend. As a parent, it's easy to dismiss your child as innocent and pure. After all, they're children. But children grow up fast, and in some cases, there are some really negative influences around them.
The next call I got was from a detective at PG County Police Department saying that your son was just attacked on the bus.
The victim's mother now talks at public safety events and tries to inform all parents of the potential dangers of teens with weapons. It's too easy to pull the trigger. It's too easy to take a life. And at that age, people are much more likely to fall under the wrong influence. For adults, this piece of news was terrifying in many ways. First of all, few adults imagine kids can be so vicious. Someone commented, "These kids today are terrifying. I am seriously scared of them. I'm not joking. They have no regard for human life. They don't care. So many of them have dead eyes as well. It's terrifying. I'm glad they caught all of them and also figured out this girl was the leader." Someone else thought of how the attackers were raised in the first place. Where is this girl's mother? Same for the little boys. What problem did she have with the boy to go up to them and try to kill him? My goodness, Oxon Hill is right around the corner from me. Exactly. It's pretty disturbing to know that you could have been there that day, or that you could fall victim to a frenzied attack like this. Now, who knows if kids are scarier these days, or if there has always been a percentage of kids with violent urges and bad influences.
Right now, police say a 10-year-old is in custody for murder.
In May 2022, the communities in Orlando, Florida were shocked by another case of a girl killer. After her mom got into a heated argument with a neighbor, a 10-year-old pulled a weapon out of a pink school bag and aimed for the neighbor's head. Sadly, the neighbor wasn't as lucky as the boy on the bus. Before taking her neighbor's life, the 10-year-old girl shouted, "That's what you get for messing with my mama." But her mama had started the argument to begin with. The poor victim was known for her kindness, love of children, and effort to keep the community together. It was absolutely heartbreaking that a 10-year-old could have so little empathy and could resort so quickly to this option. However, it turned out that her mom had groomed her into this kind of behavior. She had taught her to protect her, when it should have been the other way around. And on that fateful night, the mom threw her daughter the bag containing the firearm. It was like she threw her daughter under the bus and let her take the blame for unaliving their neighbor. She didn't get away though. Both mother and daughter were arrested and charged with murder.
As one family is grieving, we know that 10-year-old girl is in DCF custody at last check, and her mom is sitting behind bars here facing charges after police say that mom gave her daughter the opportunity to pull out that gun during a fight.
So it was clear this wasn't an evil 10-year-old born to be a skilled assassin. She was raised in all the wrong ways by a malintended, neglectful mother. This begs the question in our case too. How were the 4 attackers raised? Was it really just the influence of a local gang, or did their violent impulses start from their families? Wouldn't you stay away from violent gangs if you knew violence was wrong from the education you got at home? Local teen gangs are rarely as forceful as Central American cartels. They don't force you to join. You make a few friends, get an invitation to hang out, and before you know it, you're a part of it. But this is not organized crime. You won't get offed for trying to quit, so what led these teens into this life of crime? The fact that these teens' families are so keen on insisting they are innocent and begging judges to send them home is pretty telling. At the very least, they have not taught their kids to take responsibility for their actions. As of August 2023, we're still waiting for the teenagers' trials to begin. Hopefully, more information will come to light, and we will understand the twisted backgrounds that led these kids down this terrible path. And hopefully, the 14-year-old boy can make a healthy recovery from this traumatic event. Knowing that his attackers are off the streets, held without bail, it's certainly a start. Hey, thanks for watching. Are violent tendencies in children normal, or do you think this is happening more often today? Let me know your thoughts in a comment. And before you go, make sure you like and subscribe. See you next time.